Random background air traffic enabled. Range script loaded. You can now press Escape, select choose slot and pick your aircraft.
Warning.
The JF17 gun is a GSH-23-2 twin-barrel 23mm autocannon, developed by the Soviet Union on the 60s for use on military aircrafts and helicopters. It is mounted under the port-side air intake. It is the same gun used by the MiG-21 and its basic specifications are: weight, 50 kilograms, gun only. Length, 1.54 meters. Caliber, 23 mm. Barrels, 2. Rate of fire, 3,000 to 3,400 rounds per minute. Muzzle speed, 715 meters per second. Rounds capacity, 180. On this gun, the firing action of one barrel operates the mechanism of the other, an ingenious mechanism developed by the German engineer Karl Gast, which allows the gun to operate without external power. While this gun can't match the rate of fire of a Gatling gun like the M61 of the F-16, it is considerably lighter, weighing less than half, and the M61 requires hydraulic and electric power for its spinning mechanism. For this training mission, we will use a weapons range that uses objects created by the 476th Virtual Fighter Group, and a hit counting script developed by Sir Bob, that will allow you to gauge your accuracy and monitor your progress. Your goal is to make at least 3 gun strafing passes through the weapons range, and hit each target at least once. You can access the gun shooting statistics calling up the F10 option of the communications menu. Insert the DTC cartridge on the slot at the right console. Click on the cartridge again, to load it onto the reader. Once properly insert on the left MFCD, click Alt to select all the data contained on the cartridge. Now, click ENT to load. The loading process lasts several seconds, during which the message DTC trans will be shown. Once the loading is finished, the message DTC locked will appear again. Press
Warning.
spacebar to continue.
Warning. Warning. Warning.
The alarm that you hear, and the
Warning.
config light on the warning panel, tells us that the FCS is not
Warning.
properly configured for the current loadout.
Warning.
Place the A/AG switch on the AG. Set the next waypoint to 01 by clicking on the arrow, then input 01 on the UFC keypad, and then click the arrow again to enter the value. Before starting to taxi, we should contact the air traffic controller, a TC, and request clearance. We will begin by tuning the COM1 radio to the ATC frequency. Today we are at Anapa Air Base and its ATC frequency is 250 MHz, corresponding to the preset 126. On the UFC panel, click on the return button, to make sure that we are at the UFCP main menu. Now, click on the arrow button next to the COM1 display. The remaining displays will show the current radio parameters of COM1. Click on the arrow again, to enter the selected preset of COM1. Once you see a cursor blink, use the UFCP keypad, to enter the desired preset, on this case 126. Once done, click the arrow button once more, to apply the input. OK, now that the radio is tuned to Anapa's ATC, click on the HOTAS COM1 button, or use the backslash key, and the communications menu should appear on the screen. Click F1, to request taxi clearance. After a few seconds, ATC should answer. Take note of which specific runway you're assigned. If ATC does not answer, it might be because there are other traffic on the taxiways. Wait a bit and it will clear you out as soon as the taxiways are free. Press space taxi and takeoff. We are now ready to start the flight. Increase throttle and let the aircraft move forward. Once the aircraft is moving, press the wheel brakes to confirm their operation. Release the wheel brakes and resume the taxi. Be careful of other traffic that may be near you. Good, now turn left and proceed along the taxiway, towards the runway. Stop just short of the runway, and then contact ATC to request permission to take off. Once permission has been granted, enter the runway, align on its center and stop there.
Anapa, in field 1-1, request takeoff.
Enfield 1-1. Anapa, you are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300 at QFE 29.78.
Okay, we are now ready for takeoff. Follow the usual procedure. 1. Hold wheel brakes, increase throttle to 80% RPM. Check instruments and alerts. If everything is well, release the brakes and accelerate to 100% RPM. Two. Reaching 120 knots, pull back softly on the stick until the aircraft on the air. 4. Retract the landing gear.
Altitude, altitude, altitude.
Climb towards waypoint 01, at 3,000 feet altitude, with a speed of 350 knots. Now, turn right towards waypoint 02. Maintain 350 knots and 3,000 feet altitude. We will now review the procedure for preparing the gun for air-ground attacks. First, set Master Arm to Arm, with a right click. Set Master Mode to Air to Ground, with D1 back on the HUDs, or pressing the 7 key. On the SMS page, on the left MFCD, select the gun. The indicator will blink and then a box will enclose it, to indicate that it is the selected weapon. Click on Feed, to load the first round onto the gun. The indicator will flash while the loading takes place. Once the blinking stops, the gun is ready to use, but if it ever gets jammed after firing long bursts, you may press Feed again to unjam it. Feed makes use of an explosive cartridge that power the gun loading mechanism. There are only 3 cartridges, so Feed can be used only up to 3 times. After the 3rd attempt, the system won't respond to your command and Feed will just keep blinking. Press spacebar to continue. Click on Limiter to adjust the gun burst length. You have 3 choices. Off. No limiter, the gun will fire as long as you hold the trigger. 0.2. The gun fires a 0.2 seconds burst, about 10 rounds. 0.5. The gun fires a half a second burst, about 25 rounds. Press spacebar to continue. This number is the amount of gun rounds remaining, currently 180 rounds. On the HUD, the symbology now includes a cross with a dot on its center. This is the gun aiming reticle. Do not confuse with the small cross that designates where the nose of the aircraft is pointing. Press spacebar to continue. We have reached waypoint 2. Turn right to enter the range on a heading of 90 degrees. The gun strafing pits are on its right side. First pass. Turn right 180 degrees, towards a heading of 270 degrees, and perform another pass. Try to aim to a different target. Second pass. Turn right 180 degrees, towards a heading of 270 degrees, and perform a third pass. Aim for a different target. Third pass. If you still have ammunition left, you can go around and perform another pass if you want. If you are finished, then select nav mode with D1 center on the HOTAS, or pressing the number 1 key, and head towards waypoint 4. You can check your range results by calling up the communications menu. Select F10, Other. Then select F2, Range. Finally, click F1, My Strafe Results. If you want, enable data link by tuning COM2 to channel 199, setting mode to master and connecting with the NES arrow. This will allow you to visualize any friendly traffic that may be around an EPA. Contact an APA's ATC and report inbound.
Anapa, in field 1-1, inbound.
Enfield 1-1, Anapa, fly heading 10846, QFE 29.78, runway 22, to pattern altitude.
You have reached waypoint 4. Reduce speed and altitude. Turn right 90 degrees, towards Anapa. Contact Anapa's ATC and request landing. Perform a visual landing.
Enfield 1-1, cleared for visual, contact tower.
Anapa, in field 1-1, request landing.
altitude, altitude, altitude.
Touchdown.